This is really aggregating.
2, 1. I think we're live. Maybe.
Hello?
Hello. The internet.
Oh.
Maybe. Yeah. Twitch is connecting. YouTube is connecting. Periscope is connecting.
Wow.
I just got the notification that Industry 4.0 just went live, so. Thanks, Twitch, for notifying me that I'm live.
I wasn't aware that I went live. Hello, world.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello.
Look, everybody. It's 5 people on
Hi.
one podcast.
Hello.
Ervin,
Look, everybody. They said it couldn't be done.
do you need just the voice or do you need the whole
podcast.
intro?
Hello.
Ervin,
The whole intro.
They said it couldn't be done.
I need just the... Hang on. I'm starting Reason from my phone.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow, we're on live. All right, I got all the links. Going to Facebook.
All right.
All right.
All right, all right, all right.
All right,
Ooh.
all set. Let me open up Twitch so I can keep an eye on the chat.
Goo.
Okay. All right. I'm ready to go whenever y'all is.
I'm still working on the intro.
That's fine.
All right.
Got some exciting stories to talk about.
I know.
Flamethrowers, Russian hackers.
I'm honestly just the most excited that we're all together again, and that makes me happy. And also flamethrowers. Since flamethrowers or since all 5 of us were here?
Both.
Both?
Right, yes. There's been a severe lack of flamethrowers and joy from all of us.
We were talking about if we go split this, it's only $100 each for this flamethrower. We can own a flamethrower.
Yeah, and then we can host an event where we charge people $20 to just burn stuff for a while, and then next thing you know, we've recouped the
genius move.
We've recouped the cost of the flamethrower in the span of a day. Ervin,
I don't
get
see
that
why we haven't
canned
done
air
this
out of
already.
here.
What?
Yeah, I know. So get that canned air off our stream.
Is that on the stream?
Yes.
I'm advertising canned air. You want?
This episode is sponsored by Canned Air.
Guys. It could be.
Or
imagine if that was our first sponsor.
Hey, Swerve.
Yes.
Please go to the root directory.
This episode is sponsored by
It's the Wave File podcast.
Yeah, I'll go to your root directory.
Yeah, what's up now?
It's that interesting.
How's that make you feel?
I don't think I could say on air.
I see an MP3.
Probably smart.
It's podcast template.wave industry 4.0 folder.
I don't see a wave file yet. Oh,
Wait.
it's on the web but not synced yet. So let's download the file.
Twitch stream is not working right. Looks fine to me.
Welcome to iFollow.
Works for me.
Oh, Ervin, it's
Fixed.
it's playing music
What?
on Twitch.
What do you mean?
It is playing music.
Music. It was playing music.
There's music
On
being
Twitch.
played. That's what it
What do you
means.
mean? What music?
It was the intro music that was being played on a Twitch stream.
Yeah, because I was playing it.
Oh, okay.
I was
'Cause
testing it.
John was saying that the Twitch stream wasn't working right, so I wanted to make sure that all of our streams were working.
So
I mean, it
John.
sounds fine to me, but if anybody else can confirm.
John, I am Job.
Oh, it kept freezing.
So it's definitely not my internet connection. So.
No, it's been okay for me. I don't know. Not that I'm the baseline for any type of solution, but you know, you say tomato, I say tomato.
Did you guys see my video the other day? I was playing pool and someone put on Banana.
I love that song.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, that was for.
Oh
test.
yeah.
And then now we're doing like this. Yep.
All these. Yeah,
There we go.
Ready. Okay.
All right.
Recording. Streaming.
Yes.
Ready. Go. And.
Well, when are we going? Give me a
Yep.
prompt.
Yep. 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome
What?
to
No.
What?
When I say 3, 2, 1, I'm starting my recording.
I said give me a
no.
prompt, man. And you
Oh,
gave me a
man.
prompt.
I'll say go when you go.
Okay.
Matt, now,
And then
now,
I'll
now.
just come on, man. I'm just so ready to go.
We're gonna hear the
Start immediately.
point to him.
Yeah, you gotta point to me, man.
Point.
Is that a
Point.
new trick in broadcasting? To point.
Yeah.
Give me the point and say go.
Always trick in the book.
I'll
right, let's
flash
do
the
this.
can of air.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Flash America, Ervin.
What's my cue?
Thank you, Kyle.
All right, I'm gonna go. Quiet on the set.
Welcome to iFollow.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 36 of Industry 4.0. I'm joined by everybody today. So we have all 5 of us here on I4O. So we have Ryan, Ervin, Jeff, and Kyle. What's going on, guys? Good to see you. Some faces we haven't seen in a while, some faces we've seen often. Happy to see you.
What up?
Oh, yeah.
Yo.
In the
We
words
have-
of Matt Slavin, we them boys of I4O.
That's right. That's right. That's going to be
I missed
definitely.
I missed the loyal fan base.
I hope that's in our year in review at the end of the year when we do that. I'm excited for that.
I can
But-
cook something up.
Yeah.
I don't see a way it won't be.
But regardless, we have a jam-packed episode full of tons of news for everybody. So we have some developments with Apple. We have some news about some Russian hacking, some crypto trading, Amazon Go, and some boring flamethrowers for everybody. So, but yeah, let's get started jumping straight into the news about Apple. So they are adding a new privacy icon to iOS and macOS to prevent their iCloud password phishing. And they must be listening to our episode because we definitely talked about the phishing problems that they've had in earlier episodes. So kudos to Tim Cook for being a subscriber. But this comes off the wake of phishing scams that have come from iOS, where it is apparently very easy to generate an email and password field for signing into the iTunes store that is fake, that looks 100% identical to the original pop-up. What do you guys think about this? Them finally kind of putting this at the system level instead of using a very generic pop-up. I think it's a very good move from Apple's part, but I'm
Yeah.
curious to hear your thoughts on that.
It was the next logical step, I think. Just, you know, to put this in there now, it's going to pop up and teach users, hey, you're going to see this before we ever ask you for your information. So if you don't see this, don't enter your password.
Right.
When they can, you know, you have people out there trying to compromise your information who can emulate what Apple prompts so close to what it actually looks like. Having something at the system level is definitely necessary. Yeah.
And it's a splash screen too, so it definitely is very transparent in what they're trying to do, and it's it comes up in a non-reproducible way in any application, which is good.
Yeah, so there's two main things. I think I mean, obviously, like you touched on, it's any step to getting better privacy is always a good step to take. It's a necessary step to take. Making sure that your information is protected is obviously great. I think the most important part is, like you said, the splash screen. They're forcing it upon you instead of just adding it in a detail in the terms of the update. So you know what to look for. There's no chance that you're going to miss it. Again, it's not like one of those details that like, hey, look, we fixed bugs, and like it's like a 50,000 word explanation in the update. All you have to do is click agree. It's a big page. They let you know up front. It's very obvious what it is, and that way everybody's on the same page who has their devices.
Yeah. And it's nice to see this is coming to both iOS and Mac OS as well. So on any of their platforms, they seem to be solving this problem across the board, which is good, because I'm pretty sure it's like security 101 to have any kind of information collecting to be done by something that can't be reproduced easily by a third-party application, at least handled at the system level. So it's good to see that they're handling all that stuff at, like I said, at the system level too.
Yeah.
But and I think this says it's going to be coming to users this spring, with public betas rolling out sooner. So if anybody is on their beta program, feel free to download and try it out and let us know. See how it is. Because this also comes with, according to this Verge article, comes with new Animoji, health records in the health app, and the ability to turn off processor throttling for iPhones with older batteries. That's something that we did talk about also.
Yeah, I actually wanted to comment on that. I have a friend, his name's Kyle Trainer. Sorry, Kyle, there's another Kyle. But I told him about that there's there's an update with the ability to change the throttling of performance. And he was previously kind of avoiding updates because when you get an update, it tends to slow down your phone. And he was upset about it. So I said, try it out. And he said it's night and day. His phone was like slow as molasses before. And then he updated, turned on the setting, and now his phone's just like it used to be. So,
has there been any reported impact on battery life? I'm curious about that.
I asked him to tell me about that, and I didn't hear anything. So I'm assuming he's doing okay.
Nice.
And
go ahead, Ervin. My assumption was that maybe they were changing the setting, assuming everyone's old battery wasn't going to be able to handle the performance. But I think that, at least in my case, my battery, I would assume, was fine. So maybe when you turn off that throttling, you're not going to see that battery degradation because your battery wasn't so bent out of shape to begin with.
Yeah.
But
well, Apple said that one of the main reasons that they did this, it caused phones to randomly shut down. So if your friend was having that shutdown issue, it could come back after this update. But from the sound of it, he didn't have this issue. So I'm curious to see when it actually rolls out, if people who were having shutdown issues, then Apple released the update that slows down the phone to prevent the shutdown issues. If they turn it back off, now will those shutdowns come back?
Right. Well, I can promise you I'll hear about it if they do. So
yeah, for sure.
Maybe Jeff, maybe you haven't heard from him because his phone died.
Hey, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Not to jump too much around in the articles, but we have another article that we have about additional iOS updates that are coming sooner than spring for iOS 11.2.5. This update that we just talked about is 11.3, but some news that comes out from the newest release from the iOS updates is there's some Siri news briefs and HomePod support. So there are additional changes coming through the pipeline, which is nice. And the news reading feature now is no longer limited to their beta testing crowd too. So that's an interesting feature that they're rolling out. So it's kind of like the the flash briefing That's the kind of the impression that I got from.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah,
The Amazon
and
flash
it's
briefing on the
and
Echo.
yeah, and it's important to note this is in the U.S., UK, and Australia. You're able to get them from local sources such as NPR and Washington Post, and BBC and Sky News in the UK. So you can ask for business news or sports news as well. Business, music, or sports news. I said news.
The best kind.
The new news. But it's also unlocking support for the HomePod speaker, which is an important thing to talk about because that's coming up as well in our discussion. So if you happen to have one, then you're able to transfer all of your account details. So it's just something that, yeah. And aside from that, there's some minor other updates that are coming through for Apple TV, the Watch, Mac OS, but the biggest improvements is just from like High Sierra for security fixes, and some meltdown fixes for users who are on Sierra or El Capitan. So, but yeah, I just wanted to bring that up before we jumped into the next topic, just because it's related with terms of iOS updates. But yeah, HomePod. We have some HomePod news coming in.
Yeah, so
we finally have a date.
Yeah, we finally have a date for the HomePod. So the pre-order started this Friday. This past Friday, I can't even know what the date is. To the January 26th is when depending on when people are listening to the show.
Okay.
Yeah, January 26th is when the pre-order started, and then Apple announced that February 9th is when it should start arriving at homes. Certain people got early access, I think a week ago, to actually listen to it in a real type living room environment. A lot of people are praising the sound quality of it. It is a fairly expensive speaker. It was last announced at WWDC this summer, and it was delayed. It was supposed to be released by the end of last year, and it was delayed. Apple said they can't ship it at that time, so it's about a month late. It seems like. I'm not sure why. They haven't said. Apple didn't say why. They just perhaps wanted to get it perfect. But it won't be launching with certain features, which is interesting.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, too, doesn't it look different now? Didn't they change the design?
No, it looks the same as the...
I could have sworn it looked way larger. I mean, maybe it's just the size of the picture that we were looking at before.
Apparently for
but
people
I felt like that thing looked huge.
Yeah, so apparently for people who've seen it in person, it's tinier than you expect.
Yeah, they have a picture of it on the article, like sitting on a bookshelf.
Yeah.
Looks tiny.
Yeah.
Like the Home Max would probably take up the rest of that remaining shelf space.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't know how big that shelf is.
Yeah. There needs to be someone needs to put a banana next to one so I can see the true scale.
That's not a plant next to it; it's a tree.
Yeah, it's a tree.
I thought the most interesting picture in this article was the internals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this thing's got some serious hardware in it.
Yeah,
for such a tiny.
So, for our listeners and viewers, it's got an Apple-designed A8 chip, high excursion subwoofer, or just a woofer, a 6-microphone array, seamless mesh fabric exterior, and a 7-tweeter array. So this thing's got a lot of different components inside of it.
There was a post on the Reddit subreddit for the audiophile one. Someone got an early access look at it from that forum. One of the top posters on that audiophile. As you might know, audiophiles are people who are quite into high-end audio products, and his NDA lifted, and people have been asking questions from him about the HomePod, and he gave it quite a high praise, and then that's coming from an audiophile. So I'm very interested to see hear what this sounds like. And also, I've been following Twitter, and there's been a lot of complaints that it doesn't offer as much features as perhaps the Google Home or the Amazon Echo, since Siri isn't really there yet. And a lot of Apple fanboys and big publications have been really defending Apple to say this isn't a competitor with the Google Home and the Amazon Echo. But I expected. I mean, a lot of people will view it that way. I know Apple might not, but a lot of people will, because it does have Siri built into it. But in Apple's eyes, I think they're gearing this towards audio product first, and then it does Siri just because it can. But it's mainly an audio product, high-end audio speaker. They're not gearing it towards the people who would get an Echo or a Google Home.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
This is very much baked into the walled garden that is Apple products, because you need an iPhone or an iPad or an iPod Touch to set this speaker up. So that's something that's important to do. For anybody looking to buy one, you need an iOS device in order to set it up. And
from the looks of it, you need Apple Music subscription to actually listen to any music. You can't do Spotify on it. You can't do any other music service. You have to use Apple Music.
Right.
So there's a specific customer base, like the Apple loyal fans that are going to use.
People who are very well entrenched in Apple's ecosystem. But there is a positive if you are entrenched in this ecosystem, because having first-party everything with this product enables Apple to be able to perform some pretty deep searches through their music in order to provide very accurate information. So there's a part of the article where it's like a little word graph chart thing. I think you have it on the Twitch stream right now. That has who's the drummer in this song? Play the soundtrack to this song. Play something new. When was this song recorded? You can ask some pretty detailed questions that I'm not sure if the Google Home would be able to answer on the fly through, say, a Spotify app or something.
Yeah.
So there are advantages if you are in this first-party ecosystem. And something else about the hardware it's important to note is, this goes back to what you were saying, Ervin, about people drawing a parallel between the Home Max and this product, is that this does have the room sensing technology that the Google Home Max does.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to adapt its sound based on wherever you put it in the room, so it sounds best for that part of your house. So it's a pretty serious device for fitting in what they said is a 7-inch form factor. It's only 7 inches tall, I think.
Yeah. Wow. I know you said that someone else, you said was the Google Home Max has that same feature about the the reading the room. That still blows my mind. That it's such a cool, unique feature to add to, especially people who are diehard into sound, diehard into music. It's such a you don't really think about how important that is or how much of a difference that makes until you hear it. And it's really I mean, if you watch, there's shows on Palladia and HBO, and you see Dave Grohl do a lot of this stuff where I think it was on Palladia. Dave Grohl was meeting up with this one. Pardon me, I don't remember the producer's name. He has in a mansion, and the only room that isn't a recording studio is his bedroom. Every other room, everything is set up a certain way in the room so he gets a different sound. So the couch is in a certain place, where the amp is in a certain place. That's how particular you can get about your sound. So the fact that this device can learn your room and make the best sound quality is an amazing step forward for people who are into music and recording and sound overall.
And you get any kind of depth into the home theater market where you're looking at things to set up your home theater, that's all they care about. The 7-to-1 surround sound, getting the speakers in the right spot, Dolby Atmos. Having the correct sound can be a very expensive thing for people who don't have technology like this, and this kind of could create a very nice introductory sort of entrance into that kind of an experience where you have calibrated sound depending on where you put it. So, and there was during at least the Google conference, I haven't heard any demos of the HomePod, but when they took the Google Home Max, they took it from the center of the display room, and they had a mock living room set up, and they put it in the corner, on an end table next to a couch or something. And you hear it get real loud for a little bit, and then it just kind of, the sound flattens after a few seconds, and then it becomes a perfect sound again. They were there was no difference in quality.
Is that done, I would assume, by the microphones inside of these devices? They send out signals and wait for them to come back to tell how far the walls are away and things like that.
Yeah, so it knows which way to project the majority of its sound.
And it uses that A8 Apple chip, which was, let me see what the last phone that was in. But that's a phone processor inside of a speaker. That's a lot of processing power. It was introduced in
a 6 Plus, I think.
Yeah, iPhone 6. Yeah. iPhone 6 is when the A8 first, like you have a 6 Plus worth of power inside of a speaker. So you use that to do a lot of different things.
That was my last phone. So
they took your phone and stuffed it into a speaker.
Hey, Thompson, you think you can get your family to get one of these in the living room? I know you're having some audio debates with them.
Yeah, they're still pretty sketched out about having the homes and things listening to them all the time. But in terms of Apple being entirely proprietary, that's a no-go. Yeah, the $50 less than the Google Home Max is nice, but still.
Yeah.
I know they focus on quality, but if you can't have Spotify or Pandora or anything else, you're kind of, I don't know, Apple only.
I hope they add it later. Add other services, other music services with software updates later. I really hope that will be the case. If not, I don't know how many. I forget what the last numbers were for the Apple Music subscriptions, but it's not as popular as Spotify for sure. Yeah.
Also, just some notes on privacy, because Apple has always been touted as a proponent of privacy for users. In terms of privacy, similar to the Echo and Home, there's 6 onboard microphones listening for their wake words, "Hey Siri," and they only send info to the server once that's invoked. So it's very similar in how it works, but the difference here is the information is kept completely anonymous. So there's no repository for your requests in the same way. For if you go to, like, you have a Google Home, you can go into the Home app and check your My Activity, where it has all of the recordings of every request you've ever made, and you can play them back. You don't get that with this.
I wonder if that's going to make this like seem less as a smart device because it doesn't like record your patterns, so to speak, or like, it's not maybe tailored as much to the user. But if it has sources like Wikipedia, I mean, I don't really know if it needs that either. It's going to be interesting to see how it pans out.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this works out. There's also one thing that I thought was interesting was you could, much like the Google Home and the Echo, you can tell it to stop listening, but there's no visual cue for that. So there's no way for you to know whether it's actually listening or not. That's one thing I thought was interesting. I figured that Apple would have made that very obvious if you had told it to stop listening by like a ring or like an animated display on the top of the screen or something. But there's no visual cue, which I thought was interesting. And you have to either touch the top of the HomePod to reactivate it, or you have to re-enable it in the Home app. So, but just something that was interesting. But yeah. I'm gonna definitely be keeping an eye out for reviews on this, so I can make a better opinion on it, and hopefully they start showing up in like Best Buys and things like that, so you can hear them and actually test them out. Because it would be nice to listen to the Home Max versus the HomePod.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of reviews doing just that. So we're keeping an eye and see what that feedback is. Yeah.
I'm curious because the HomePod the Home Max has a much larger footprint. So I'm curious on the difference of power and like raw sound, if this is going to appeal more to people who are looking to just get an entry into it, or if it's going to be louder than the Google Home Max.
Another thing I'm curious to see is how many of these sell, because I know a lot of iOS users who have already gotten Echoes because they didn't want to wait for this. So it's going to be interesting to see how that affects sales too. I know Amazon had like a record sales year at the holiday season because of their devices. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And then we have one more Apple story. I think the Apple also is launching in that beta that Matt was talking about earlier. They're going to launch business chat inside of iMessage, which is quite interesting. I know, Jeff, you were looking into this. Before.
It's pretty cool. I am curious to see how this spreads to other messaging apps as well. But I know Apple's taking this direction where they're trying to add a lot of features to their proprietary iMessage app. So with this one, you'd be able to talk to businesses, whether it be a person or a bot. I would assume it's a bot, but you can do things like order products or ask questions about products, get customer service on maybe an issue you're having, or check on shipment status, things like that. So you could, for the example in the article here is, chatting with the Lowe's bot and saying, hey, can you tell me about the faucets you have? And then they tell you about them, and you say, okay, let me order this one. And I say, okay, we'll go to your, I guess it would be Apple Pay, and you can get it delivered to your place tomorrow, all through a message.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I know WhatsApp has been, and also other messaging clients that are mainly popular in Asia have been putting like mini apps in their messaging apps that makes them more useful, right? You can pretty much do everything inside of that one messaging app. So this is Apple trying to do something very similar.
Yeah. Yeah, this comes from like Facebook Messenger, Google, Twitter, and WhatsApp all launching their own business platforms for stuff like this. So it's good to see that Apple's jumping in on it, and it looks like they're going to be debuting in with, like you said, 11.3 with some partners including Discover, Hilton, Lowe's, and Wells Fargo initially. And I guess this leverages, like you said, the Apple Pay payments that they rolled out in iMessage. So that would allow a very seamless experience for customers. And I honestly would not be surprised if you could see something such as Uber taking advantage of this down the line, among other, like maybe even Uber Eats as well. Just like some apps based on delivery services where you don't necessarily need the person's phone number who's calling you for letting you know their ride's there. Right. It's like a very anonymous way of doing that, so they don't have your number after the fact. But yeah, this is a nice feature to roll out, and it's good to see that Apple's still playing catch up with other companies. But I mean, they've kind of been playing this ball game their whole lives, so they just kind of wait for something to roll out and then release their own product that later down the line.
I'm curious if they're gonna get into like Grubhub's market here too, or something where you can chat with Domino's and get a pizza delivered or something like that.
I like the pictures they have in the article where it's like, "Hey, Lowe's, you up?" Yeah, it's like
that's Hilton for sure.
Yeah.
Yo, dog, it's 3 a.m. You got some rooms?
Like,
I like it though.
And also, I'm wondering if it, like Jeff mentioned, is it a bot or a real person? I don't know either. I don't think it talks about, like, I'm very curious if they're actually gonna do, like, how can you, if it is a bot, can you fool it, or trying to, like, what kind of questions are is it limited to? If it's a person, then it can figure it out. Then it shouldn't have any issues answering literally any question that you throw at it. But
I would think that it would be similar to a lot of like customer service things on websites now, where it starts as a bot and simple questions, simple commands that are obvious, where it just redirects you. Yeah. It can handle, but anything beyond that, it alerts a customer service rep, and that person takes over the chat.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What happens if you send it GIFs or memes?
Trying to play
reply
pool
with one back. It's like
trying to start a game of pool with Wells Fargo
or basketball shootout. Yeah.
I like that. What if that would be even better if the bot just tried to play. But yeah, this could be huge, and it could be good to see competition in this field, because like the business chat thing is becoming very popular among competitors. So yeah, but to move on to other topics, we have some Chrome updates for Android on the other side of the pond. So Chrome 64 arrives on Android prior to any other platform. So this is a pretty nice Chrome update from what I've been reading on it, and I have downloaded it myself. So I'm one of the users on the initial rollout, because this is also available right now on APK Mirror. It's going to be rolled out officially to the Play Store over the coming weeks, but this version includes new features designed to make browsing a lot safer. So they have eliminated malicious auto redirects and browsers blocking third-party frames unless you've directly interacted with them, and as well as giving you alerts and notifications if a pop-up will try to show up on top of your screen from a shady website. And I'm sure that anybody on an Android phone has seen that before. You're browsing on Chrome, and then all of a sudden you get this pop-up, and it's like vibrating your phone, and like you have to force quit the app and all that stuff. So it's going to be nice to see that they're actually taking this seriously. So so far it's been very smooth, and there's also some minor visual updates as well. But yeah, this is available on APK Mirror as well. So, and anybody have any thoughts on the new Chrome update? If they've tried it or if they have any chance to play with it at all?
It makes sense that they're rolling it out on mobile because it's definitely more annoying on mobile than it is on a desktop computer. And it does make sense. The auto vibrating always like surprises me. Like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, and then you have to force close Chrome and then reopen it and go back to where you were. It's annoying.
Yeah. I'm also running the 64, and I like it. It's been good. I don't have a ton of comments on it, but I thought I should note that I also am running it.
Yeah, I've noticed that it's been a lot smoother than I've remembered it being. Sometimes Chrome has slowed down tremendously on my phone in previous releases, and I've noticed just it's generally a better experience so far. That could just be placebo, knowing what the update contains, but that's just my personal story for that. So
I switched to the Brave browser on Android.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But I might just switch back just to try this, just to see how it is.
I don't have an Android device, but I do have a Nintendo 64, and I've been running that pretty hard. So.
There you go. That's always appreciated.
Thompson, do you have version 64 yet?
No, I don't have version 64. Still regular, the old school one.
He's trying to find it through all the pop-ups.
yeah, still digging.
Oh man. But in another news, to segue on to a new topic, Jeff, there's this Russian hack by the Dutch that happened, and I know you were talking about it a little bit on the pre-show, but I don't know if you wanted to hail in this new topic.
Sure. So it came to light, I guess, recently, but it's news backdated a couple of years, but it's from 2014. But it's actually the division is called, the acronym is AIVD. It's the General Intelligence and Security Service of the Netherlands. So this is for the Dutch. It's their domestic intelligence service. They actually hacked into the network of a building that was actually housing the hacking group called Cozy Bear, which you might have heard of, that eventually hacked the DNC. But basically, this news came to light when Cozy Bear was infiltrating U.S. systems, and since the Dutch had already hacked them, they were able to tip off U.S. intelligence agencies of this. And this one is deep as the Dutch having access to all computer activity as well as video and audio access to the facility. So they knew exactly who was there and what they were doing and alerted the U.S. intelligence agencies, so NSA, CIA, and FBI could get involved. So you hear all these stories about Russian hacking, and you don't ever hear stories about the Dutch hacking. So I thought it was pretty cool. They kind of come in to save the day. This is going on behind the scenes on a daily basis, I would assume, between countries. And I don't know. What do you guys think about this kind of news?
I think it's good to know that there are other communities that are fighting back against some of the malicious hackers, kind of like white hat hackers, almost fighting back against these kind of breaches. But it's something that's good to note that one of the paragraphs in the article mentions that this was key to the U.S. intelligence attribution of the DNC breach to Russia. And the leaks that have followed, as well as the administration's recalcitrance in accepting the attribution, have made the Dutch intelligence community a little more cautious when it comes to sharing intelligence. So kind of the reaction of the global community has since made them a little more cautious in what they hand out to other intelligence agencies. But it is cool to know that there is this network of communities who are kind of defending each other by hacking back, if you will. It's like a callback to those shows where you have the hackers and they're like two hacking groups trying to hack each other at the same time. They're like, we breached the system. And you're like getting like flashing lights on your system. That's like how I imagined that at first.
Suddenly you're inside the Matrix.
All of a sudden it's the 90s. Everyone's on CRT monitors.
Hugh Jackman's there for some reason. But this is nuts though, because they were in there for more than a year apparently.
Yeah.
With access to all of this. So kudos.
Yeah. It's good to know that there are communities out there that do this. So,
Definitely.
But yeah, you said they had images of every person who entered the room, matching them against known Russian intelligence agents and officials in the pre-show. So like,
yeah, anywhere there's surveillance in the building, like, or their security system, the Dutch had access to all of that. So
yeah, they said the article mentions they had access to the video cameras in a hallway outside the space where the hacking team worked.
Yeah,
so
they know which hackers pick their nose and which ones don't.
I gotta say, I'm a little surprised they shared all that information with the U.S.
Yeah,
because
they did it at first. It's like, hey, you're getting hacked.
But it's also a flag up to the U.S. like, oh, we can see that you're getting hacked too. We can see what's on your end as well. So that's why I can see why they're saying they're a lot more cautious these days.
Yeah. Yeah, the recent
keep it on the DL. Hey, by the way, you guys might be having some issues. I'm not gonna say why we know that.
But it's good to with recent news. It's not to be unexpected that the intelligence communities around the world have since rolled back being as open to sharing because of how other countries have accepted that information, whether accepting it as truth or false. So it's an important topic to discuss, regardless of what side people are on. But yeah, so in other news, there is the app Robinhood adding zero fee cryptocurrency trading and tracking, which is big because I know other cryptocurrency fees have been a huge hindrance in the crypto community for accepting and dealing with transactions. I know I think we reported on this. There was Steam rolling back accepting Bitcoin because the fees were beginning to cost more than the price of the games they were selling. But this is big for the cryptocurrency community in general, having the ability to trade without fees.
Anyone who's not familiar with what Robinhood did before this, it was a free app that allowed you to buy and sell stocks with no fee, no monthly fee at all, no transaction fee, nothing. It's completely, you just download the app and start trading, put some money in the account and just start buying stocks. That's how easy it was. And now they're getting into the crypto game, which is very, very interesting. Yeah, Coinbase has been known to charge 1.5 to 4% in fees in the U.S., which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And if people can save that, I think Coinbase is going to have a hard time competing with Robinhood. And if anybody out there is curious on how Robinhood actually makes money, they do now have a Robinhood Gold plan, which you can pay monthly, and it gives you several features. One of them gives you access to after hours trading for if you're buying real stocks, and it gives you faster access to your money. So let's say you give them $500, you typically have to wait on the free account about 3 to 5 business days before that amount shows up in the app. And if you pay for the gold account, it shows up immediately. You just start trading. So they make money that way. And if also you're not paying for the gold account, if you're just, let's say you put in $500 and you spend $450 on stocks and you just have $50 laying in the account, they take that money and they earn interest on it, which is kind of interesting. So that's how Robinhood makes money. I know that one of my friends, John, reached out and said, "Is this a scam?" Because he didn't use he didn't use Robinhood before, so he didn't know, right? He saw these articles of free crypto trading. It sounds too good to be true, but I trust Robinhood that they'll do. Yeah, it's definitely not a scam that they're doing this.
Yeah, and they let you buy and sell Bitcoin and Ethereum. So it's as of today, the article was written on the 25th of January. Robinhood lets all users track the price news and set up alerts on those. And it says 14 other top crypto coins, including Litecoin and Ripple. So there are plans to expand, and they're adding to this as the days go by. So it's cool to see this, that they're kind of operating at like a it says they're adding at a break-even basis, and they don't plan on profiting from this functionality for the foreseeable future, most likely because of the gold tier plan that Ervin mentioned, which costs anywhere between $6 and $200 a month, depending on how much you're looking to borrow and trade.
Yeah.
So
their graphs look so nice and futuristic.
I know the theme that they went with is pretty awesome. And
I just opened up the 1 year. They kind of break it down into what the difference or trend has been in the past 24 hours, week, month, year, and 5 year. I'm looking at the 1 year, and you can see that Bitcoin has gone up about $10,665 in the past year. So this is like, I think it's going to be huge for crypto market.
Absolutely.
I'm wondering if there's going to be anything you can do with like what you have other crypto wallets where you can transfer coins between accounts or send it to someone else, if they're going to do anything like that with Robinhood, or if it's just taking stake in Bitcoin and then kind of sitting on it and trading it. Like if you have Bitcoin somewhere else, can you send it to your Robinhood account now?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't think they mentioned that or talked about it.
I would think that you'd have to turn it into US dollars and turn it back into Bitcoin.
In theory, you would have a Robinhood wallet then, right? You would have an address, a Bitcoin address that it stores this money in, or does it store it in Robinhood's wallet and you just get access to it? That's very interesting.
Right.
To see if what actually is. That's a good question.
I guess we'll see. I'm on the beta just to check out what it looks like, so we'll see. I'll let you guys know what I find out.
Yeah, there's a waiting list now if you want to sign up, and I think they launch it sometime in February. That they're going to officially launch this feature. But
one of the cool features that I'm seeing it mentioned in the article is in the case of a skyrocket price or a plummet, you can place limit orders to set the price where you will automatically buy or sell without you interfering at all.
Yeah,
which I think is cool.
That's a feature brought over from the stock market side of things, which I've done before for buying regular stocks of companies, where it's if it hits this price, immediately buy like whatever 2 shares or 3 shares or whatever.
This is already available too in a lot of other crypto apps or markets, I guess. Like Bittrex and Binance both have the same feature. So, was
it Bittrex that just recently got breached?
No,
there was a Bittrex. I'm fairly certain it was. I'm not to derail the topic, but I thought.
I mean, it's a good conversation, but there has been more and more hacks to these large exchanges, right? Because there's so much money pouring into them that it attracts the hackers, and they invest more and more time and trying to.
Sorry, this is CoinCheck that you're thinking of.
Oh, CoinCheck, right.
$400 million was stolen from the CoinCheck.
Yeah.
In NEM currency.
I'm not sure which one that is.
There was also recently a Tokyo-based cryptocurrency exchange. Is that? Yeah, it is CoinCheck. Yep, that's the one.
Yep. Yeah, and just as a way to go off of this, the full list of coins you can track on Robinhood is, I may butcher a couple of them: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ripple, Ethereum Classic, Zcash, Monero, Dash, Stellar, Qtum, Bitcoin Gold, Amizgo, Neo, Lisk, and Dogecoin. Because Dogecoin is incredibly important.
Yeah.
Everyone's banking on the value of Dogecoin to go above 0.01 cents.
The creator was saying on Twitter a couple weeks ago, I think, that it's like he had no idea this would ever take off. He created this as a joke because he saw Bitcoin, right? He's like, anybody can just create a coin, so he made Dogecoin as a prank or a joke, and now it's literally worth actual money.
He's like, people, stop. This was a joke.
Yeah,
stop.
Were we talking about this, or I'm not sure if it was with you guys, but someone was saying like, yeah, we haven't had a software developer on this for like over a year, and now it's getting attention.
Oh man, and
I know someone earlier on who mined some Dogecoin just as a joke, or just playing with the Bitcoin currencies. He currently has over 1.5 million Dogecoin. I don't know what that's worth. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't know what the Dogecoin value is, but
if that takes off, if that skyrockets just like Bitcoin did a while back.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
He has 1.5 million.
Yeah, Dogecoins. Yep.
That's a good amount of money. Then it's worth 73% of a cent.
One Dogecoin.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. 0.007 something US dollars.
All right, let's see. 1.5 million.
I'm gonna set my Robin
on the show.
Yeah, set my Robinhood app to trade once it hits 0.01.
Yeah, it's currently $11,000.
Yeah, that's a good amount of money.
Yeah. And he did it really early on, like when Dogecoin was just like nothing.
Yeah,
like so easy to mine. Like 1 hour, you can get like 50 Dogecoin.
You should sell so that way he can say that he literally profited from a meme.
I think we all profit from memes, though.
We do.
In one way or another.
I'm part of the meme economy.
My soul profits from memes.
But yeah, so that the Robinhood app, that's really promising, and I'm definitely going to be checking that out.
Yeah,
100%.
Stay tuned on the news for that.
Hopefully they let you transfer, because if so, I'm moving away from Coinbase. So that would be nice. But yeah, so moving right along, Google Bulletin. It's their new local news app. So it's allowing anybody to publish local news stories. So I'm guessing this is done via just news in aggregate from people. So they're currently piloting this in Nashville, Oakland, or Nashville and Oakland. I thought there was a third one, but for some reason but this is pretty cool. I could see, hopefully this is something that is not so prone to abuse with the recent news about fake news and other organizations publishing bogus stories. But this would be something, this could be big. This could be really, really big.
I think it's a nice attempt at them to step back, like make it an advance in the social market of tech again. I think it's definitely going to get abused unless they moderate it. And they're pretty good with AI, I'd say, so maybe they can avoid that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the setup is that you kind of have like a feed of your own pictures and posts and messages, where you create like a story, and then I guess they would aggregate everyone's story in a specific area.
Yeah, so if in Nashville you pull this up and you see all the Nashville story, stories that are people posting around Nashville.
So this is, I guess, off geotags. So like you don't have to be a Nashville resident to participate in this, but it would know if you're in Nashville when you're posting something.
Yeah. It might be to like what I'm thinking of is like perhaps Twitter. Twitter's used for like checking local stuff. Like let's say if an earthquake happens, right? You check Twitter to see locally like what. I've heard these stories for people who live in California where an earthquake happens. It's like, did I actually feel an earthquake? The first thing that they check is not the news. They check Twitter of people posting if they felt the same shake or something. This could perhaps replace that if something is happening in a town, people can just post on here and they can quickly pull this up and check on that story, and it could be like a live feed from real people on the scene or wherever it might be. They're there and they're reporting live, posting pictures, videos of things that are happening, and it could be way faster because it's just real people posting. You don't have to go through a news team and everything and go on local news because that takes so much time. It's more of a hyper local news.
And they do mention some of the examples of things that this could be used for is anything from like bookstore readings and high school sporting events to street closures. So this looks like it's a very like wide scope aggregate news platform. And the one thing that makes me cautious is they say it's effortless. No setup is required to create a story. All you need is a smartphone. That's it. And then you can publish a story without having to create a blog or a website. That is where I see the abuse happening.
The quality of the stories without any journalistic prowess.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So this could be.
I think one of the things you'll see is. Sorry, Matt.
Oh, go for it.
I think one of the things you'll see is a lot less local news teams out and about. They will take these streams and use it as their own, whether they get permission to or not. I don't think they're going to care. I think it's another step in killing the traditional news cycle, killing the traditional news platform. I mean, you already see it happening with sports and normal news stations. You know, it used to be like, hey, it was revolutionary that we had a 24/7 sports channel, and now everyone's like, what's Sports Center again? I don't even remember what that is. Like, I think it's another step closer to doing the same thing for your local news channels. You know, for us in Philadelphia, NBC 10, 6 ABC, those teams are half the job is done for them already.
Yeah.
Right.
Seems like it's also an attempt to take a little bit of the newscasting power away from Facebook.
Yeah, that's true. Probably that too.
Yep.
But
I'm curious to see how it's going to prioritize stories too, based on like views or like how many people have posted about the same topic. What's going to show up as more relevant or interesting? I guess it would be filtered or sorted based on how recently it's been posted or how many times it's been upvoted or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, all the kids can find out if they have a 2-hour delay or the school's closed with snow and stuff.
Hey man, that's actually
that'd be really effective.
That'd be awesome. You remember waiting for those phone calls in the morning?
Oh yeah.
It's like, well, it's 2 minutes till school starts, but we still got hope.
Stop making lunches.
We'll do it live.
But I'm excited to see how this works, and like what you guys were saying, if they do have some way of prioritizing more credible stories over other stories, like a way of like upvoting or downvoting them or something like that.
Yeah.
But yes, go ahead.
No,
you're about to talk.
I was just gonna say, go to the next story. One of the news stories that you could publish on that app is when an Amazon Go store launches in your city.
I was going to say, speaking of lunch.
Speaking of lunch.
Who is speaking of it? Your stomach growling?
Yeah. Did someone say lunch?
So Amazon released the teaser video quite a while back. I don't even know when it was, about this futuristic store that required no cashiers. You just walk in, pick up an item, and leave without ever scanning, and Amazon would just automatically charge you based on exactly what you took. So now that store is real, and now we have the first location in Seattle, which of course is where the Amazon headquarters is currently. And they launched this store, so you can actually go in, you can download you need to have an Amazon account, but you don't need Prime to use this. So you go in, scan your code as you walk in, so the store that you knows that you're actually in the store, and then you just start browsing, taking stuff off the shelf, put in your backpack, whatever it might be. That doesn't really matter. You don't have to keep it out in the open. You just take off the shelf and put in your bag. It doesn't have to be visible. And all the items that you're putting in your bag will just automatically be tallied up in your cart. And you can put that item back on the shelf and it'll be taken out of the cart and you won't be charged for it, which is kind of very, very interesting. And they're mostly doing this by using cameras and sensors above where you're walking, or the ceiling, where it uses computer vision to track all of this, to see exactly where you're walking about the store and what you're picking up, what you're putting down, and analyzing that. So yeah, one more job taken by computers as cashiers.
Yeah, they move the lines.
I'm interested that there's like no actual chips on the products or anything that are tracking.
Yeah, so they said that.
What if you pick up one type of food and put it back in the wrong spot? Like, what happens in that scenario?
That was what I was gonna say. Yeah.
So it keeps track of it. So right now they're not. Initially they said they were going to use something RFID chips, but right now they're not. So they're purely doing this via just vision. So it knows what the item looks like, right? It knows what it looks like, so it tracks it and sees, okay, this is what put back on a shelf. It doesn't have to be the right shelf. It just puts it back and that gets taken out.
I wonder if you can get kicked out of the store if you go in and like reorganize their food in the wrong way. I was thinking, like, not to divert from the actual seriousness of the article, but I would go in the store and kind of like look left and right a couple times and put something in my bag just for fun.
Yeah, and they were saying like they had to remind people all the time, like just leave, like don't attempt to pay for this in any way. They're like literally grab it and just go, just leave, just go. We don't want you here anymore. But they've managed to take the line from the cash register and move it to outside the store to get in, because now apparently anytime you go there, there's just a big line of people waiting to go and try this out for themselves.
Yeah, and you might be thinking, what happens if the vision system gets it wrong? Right, you get. Either they don't charge you for something that you actually picked up, or they charge you for something that you actually picked up or put down, or you never actually picked up. Right now, they're doing it by honor system. So if you want to report that if they actually they forgot to charge you for something, if you want to report it, you can, and then you can pay for it. If not, then they just won't charge you for it. They don't really care at this point. This is just a beta product. They're just still testing it. So they would love to see that feedback, I'm assuming, to say, yeah, you guys actually never charged me for this. I actually picked it up and put it in my bag. I'm sure that's very useful information to Amazon right now to perhaps train your system better to see where it went wrong, why it can actually detect it. But right now that doesn't, you can report it if you want, but you don't have to. So you can just, if the system messes up, you can just take all the free stuff that it forgot to track.
Yeah. And this looks like it's more of a convenience store than it is like a grocery store. Yeah. Most of it looks like it's prepackaged meals and stuff that's easy to track, like alcohol and other things like that, like pre-made sandwiches, salads. But like it would be much more difficult, I think, to implement this with something such as like produce or like a deli or something like that, where you need measurements in order to know how much you're paying for it.
Right.
Yeah. Instead of a prepackaged thing, that would be the next step. And I'm assuming that's where they would implement, like someone would give you like something with a QR code or like a QR code or an ID with like the weight and how much of it you're buying.
Yeah, this could be useful for lunch if you just walk in. It's like, I just want a sandwich and a drink, and just pick it up and walk out. You're done. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't have to talk to anyone. Just skip the line and just, yep, I'm done.
As long as the walking in part's quick. I think Matt was talking about that earlier.
Yeah, there's been like lines around the corner apparently to get into this place. So
So if there's lines, doesn't that mean there's a limited number of people that can be in the store at any time?
Yeah,
I'm guessing it's more for like a fire hazard than it is technology.
No, it is technology. There's a technological limit right now of how many people can actually be in the store. They're working on increasing it, but yeah, right now there's a limit. I don't know what that limit is right now, but I know
5.
No, it's
just thrown out there.
It's definitely more than 5. But there's a technological limit right now, but it's still in beta, right? They're testing it. This is the very first store. I think they said the plan is to roll it out in Whole Foods locations. More and more, which was quite interesting.
What would be? Is this going to be a 24-hour store? Do you think?
I mean,
it should logically.
Might be.
It could be. They just need to keep the power on overnight, really.
Yeah.
Right.
But one thing that I could see this when they roll this out, I could very easily see grocery stores adopting this for their alcohol section in Whole Foods. So like the little tiny beer section, which is closed off from the rest of the store and enclosed in a small area. It's a very easy place to monitor. And I could very easily see this being done and field tested in Whole Foods alcohol sections.
They have that. They have an alcohol section in this Amazon Go store, and there's actually a person before you walk in that checks your ID. For if you actually picked that up, because you can't, like, how would you know that person is over 21? You really can't. I don't know if vision technology is that good yet that it can tell the person's age.
Yeah.
You can check versus licensed database.
Do some face tracking. Yeah.
Monitors the age on your Amazon account. Shines a spotlight on people who aren't 21. Like, don't let him leave.
Kyle, go ahead.
It said that there's one guy checking IDs for the alcohol section, and then there's a few other employees that walk around and just put stuff back in the right place. So they've reorganized the food for you when you put it in.
And then you still need people to like restock the shelves and stuff, because if you run out of something, you need to put stuff. But
for now, I could see it definitely having like, a system where the cereal box comes onto the shelf and slides in.
Robot arm just puts it.
Yeah.
And one of the cool uses that we haven't talked about yet for this place is something that they mentioned towards the end of the article. They were saying that there's no immediate plans for rolling out additional Go stores, but they're going to have plenty of data with which to figure out how they'll roll out this process again, which is important to note. That this is giving them real life data with actual customers coming in that aren't Amazon employees.
Yeah.
So the next store I'm assuming is going to be much more seamless and streamlined, and that was towards the last paragraph.
Yeah.
So
this makes more sense since Amazon bought Whole Foods. I don't think when they initially released the video of this store, and that wasn't official yet. Where Whole Foods bought Amazon, or the other way around, Amazon bought Whole Foods. So this play now makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
Now they have an actual. If they want to roll out this wider, they don't have to build stores. They already have. Already have them. They just need to install the tech that needs to. For this.
Can you imagine if they can just get this down to like robots, where like the robots put stuff back where they belong and like walk around scanning all the shelves for like out of place products, and
they have that
drones.
They have that tech in their warehouses right now. That most of the items that get picked out from the warehouse is done by robots, not humans. So
what is this but a public food warehouse?
Yeah, right.
All the stuff is marked and it's all got a set location, so I'd imagine it'd be fairly easy to automate.
Now, can you get a wholesale price? That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Eventually.
Factory prices.
They'd be aiming at pharmacies in the future.
Yeah, I think we covered in a previous episode. They're going after certain pharmaceutical licenses in various states. I know they vary from like certain items that would be used for like inhalers or something like that versus like pill form medicine. But I think it was Ervin who was looking it up, and there's like Tylenol available online already. So they're already going towards like the prescription market. I could definitely see them outdoing CVS like we talked about in the previous episode.
So one thing you cannot buy at the Amazon Go store is a flamethrower, but Elon Musk has that covered for you. So
yes.
If you ever wanted to own a flamethrower, you can now go to the Boring Company's website and you can pre-order an actual flamethrower for $500. So Elon was teasing about this, and I thought it was a complete joke. So he launched the Boring hat, which I have. It's somewhere over there. I should have worn it today. But he had the Boring hat. They sold 50,000 hats for $20 each, which is just ridiculous. And then he said, once we hit 50,000, we're going to sell a flamethrower. And everybody on Twitter is like, yeah, okay. This is funny joke, Elon. And now it's actually a thing. So now you can go online and buy or pre-order this flamethrower. He was live tweeting last night, and the last
I saw
was, I think, 2,000 pre-orders so far. Of this flamethrower. I don't feel safe with all those people actually owning a flamethrower.
Well, one of the important things...
This could be very dangerous.
Yeah, one of the important things to note is this basically matches the exact functionality of a glorified like $50 blowtorch. That's the important thing to note. It's not a liquid-based flamethrower. It's propane-based, so don't expect to be torching people from 20+ feet away. You need to get pretty close to them from at least the videos that we've seen on Twitter from the Boring Company itself. So
I was actually quite startled by how close they were to each other. The pictures they have up there, like 5 feet away from each other, shooting flames at each other.
It is quite literally a boring flamethrower.
Yeah.
My favorite part is that they're also upselling you for a $30 fire extinguisher.
Yes.
With it.
Yeah.
Yes, but it has a boring sticker on it, so it's
like
totally worth $30.
On the site, it admits it's like this is way more than you will pay for a fire extinguisher at other places.
Yeah, but it's got our sticker on it, so they don't even give you a picture too. So it's probably boring, also.
Yeah. So this entire thing is sort of based off of it's all a Spaceball reference. I think every company that Elon makes is just a Spaceball reference because he's a huge fan. Because there's plaid mode in the car, or ludicrous mode, and then now they're doing plaid mode in the cars in the new Roadster. That's a reference to Spaceballs. And now, so is this. So in Spaceballs, there's a scene where they're selling merchandise, right? And and this flamethrower comes up as one of the merchandise that they're selling. And then that's where this come from. So it's all a reference. He didn't just come up with this idea randomly. There's a backstory behind it.
So do they have the Boring Company toilet paper yet?
Not yet. I'm sure that's coming. I'm really tempted to get this, but I don't want to burn my house down.
You know, there's a very practical use for this for anybody living in the Northeast. You could use this to melt snow on your driveway if you really wanted to. Yeah. Who needs shovels when you can just walk outside with a flamethrower?
That's a really good idea.
Yeah,
torch your driveway.
Melt the snow to flamethrower so it could re-solidify into ice instead.
No. Yeah, and then that's implying you stop using the flamethrower.
Yeah. Then instead of having all the little kids running around the neighborhood getting paid to shovel, you will walk up to your neighbors and demand that they pay you to flamethrower their snow.
You don't ask, you tell them.
It's like, hey, I'm going to flamethrower the snow off of your driveway, and you are going to pay me.
You will give me $50.
You're going to help me pay off this flamethrower.
But yeah, that this is like just barely legal. Like, it's technically not a flamethrower. It's about as much of a flamethrower as Tesla's autopilot is true autopilot. So that's an important parallel to draw here. You're not actually getting a flamethrower. It's going to go at most 3 or 4 feet in front of the flamethrower.
Yeah, the official ATF rules dedicate that it must be less than 10 feet before it's actually called
And it can't be, and this is propane based. This isn't liquid based. So
Matt did his research.
Yeah. He did. Well, I mean, you have to. If you're selling literally an object that shoots out flames to the public, I mean, you better do your research or you definitely will get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So
he also go ahead.
What you're saying is like it's a little bit better than my can of Axe body spray and a lighter, like just a little bit better.
Oh, memories.
I could see this being with the recent legalization of recreational marijuana in California. I could see this being bought by some of the people who would take part in that as a very interesting lighter for.
Oh my god. Oh jeez. If
I'll box of tent in the back.
that just sounds really dangerous. Yeah. Also, people with beards like Kyle's can't use it because they just burn the entire thing off.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you guys need a light. I got this.
Pulls out flamethrower. He also posted a video where he's running toward the cameraman with the flamethrower, and the cameraman freaks out and just runs back. Oh man. I really hope people don't get injured by buying these and using them foolishly in their house, but
or else you might get burned, like you might get burned by ISPs for throttling your service. How's that for a transition?
Oh man.
I like their little warnings that they give on the pre-order page for this. The bottom one says, may not be used on Boring Company decorative lacquered hay bales or Boring Company dockside munitions warehouses.
What?
You can't use this in a dockside munitions warehouse. It's a bad idea. And you also can't use it on their lacquered hay bales either.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Lacquered and flames aren't friends.
Yeah. Before shipping, aspiring flamethrower aficionados will be sent a terms and conditions rhyme for review and acceptance.
A rhyme?
Yes. International customers can receive a full refund if they're not happy with the fees. Because I'm assuming this could even be stopped at the border, just seized, because it's probably illegal to ship people flamethrowers around the world. So.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
But Jeff already made that transition, so I don't know what transition to the next story. So
yeah.
You want to lead it off, Jeff?
Sure. a couple minutes later. So New York is looking like it's the second state to be putting in regulations where they're trying to kind of enforce net neutrality in their state. And this is based off the fact that, from what the article says, it's by Ars Technica, that ISPs would be disqualified from obtaining state contracts if they block, throttle, or prioritize internet content or applications, or require that end users pay different or higher rates to access specific types of content or applications. Yep. So this is New York. They're kind of going past what Montana had previously done, but those are two states that are trying to put in their own kind of rules to go against what the FCC is trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Which when Net neutrality was overruled by FCC, that specifically prohibit doing that, right? States can't. It says that specifically states can't create their own regulations around this, and both Montana and now New York are going against that, and they're really, I guess, breaking the rules, breaking the law by doing this, because it goes against what the FCC has ruled, that states can't do this.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of law, I think we talked about this before too, but there are 22 attorney generals suing the FCC, which means that there's 20. I think isn't that 22 states? Isn't that what that means?
I'm not sure how the jurisdiction of attorney.
Yeah, it's 21 states and the District of Columbia are also in the FCC.
Yeah, and it's pending in several states. I'm curious to see if any more states jump on this boat, because it's something that is important, and I think that I'm definitely going to be following this closely for sure.
Yeah, I kind of want to give a shout out to Montana for being the trendsetter here out of nowhere. I didn't know they were such internet aficionados.
Yeah, so I guess Montana had done the same thing about a week ago. I think we talked about that a little bit too. Mm-hmm.
A lot of those Midwestern states already only have one ISP provider in their state, so that's not surprising that they're kind of looking at this as a way to prevent a monopoly from forming within their state. So in some ways, It could be in their best interest to do this policy, to defend competition in their state through legislature,
including there's some buzz about a state internet service provider too, or something like that. Did you guys hear about this? It was like instead of like your Comcast or Verizon, there was like a state-run internet service. I think was that Colorado, Ervin? Where was that?
They're popping up everywhere. I don't know the specific one that you're referring to, but the municipal internet is popping up everywhere, and I think people wanna run their own, basically be their own ISP, local ISP. So let's say Philly wants to make their own ISP. It might be hard for a big city like that, but could go through all the buildings. But that's a bad example. But
Philly's kind of got Comcast has a chokehold in the city. So
yeah, but you could just run your own cables. You can get the city to pay for, get some money from the city to perhaps pay for it if you want to run your own local internet. And bypass all the ISPs that are already there. You can definitely do that, and people have been doing it. And that's one way to preserve net neutrality, right? Because you control the rules. The community controls the rules because it's community owned.
Absolutely,
it's not owned by a bigger corporation.
You have people who complain about Comcast customer service. So I wonder how much worse it would be if it was state customer service. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess if it's anything, I think you have to have a really bad customer service if you're going to top Comcast's customer service. So I would be very impressed if someone managed to get worse than that. So, but yeah, this is good news. I'm really happy to hear that they're going through with this. Hopefully Pennsylvania follows suit, but like I said, I'm going to definitely keep an eye on this to see which states go through with this. But as for us, I don't know if you guys have anything else you wanted to bring up about this, but I think that brings about the end of the episode. We can start doing the show notes or the show plugs. All right. I'll take that as a resounding all set. So as for us, you can find us on any of the available social media platforms. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere really. And we post semi-frequently to Facebook and those various social medias. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Industry40, all spelled out. In any of the other platforms, generally just typing in the name of the podcast will get you the correct link. But feel free to leave us a review on one of iTunes or Google Play. We stream to both of those platforms, plus any other number of your favorite podcatcher apps that carry an RSS feed. So you can find us on basically anywhere. And feel free to leave us a review, because we love reading the reviews and learning about what we did wrong, what we did right, ways we can improve on our stuff. And I know we have a couple of iTunes reviews, not anything relatively recent, but it helps us. It makes us better. So, and plus we like reading the reviews. So, and you're welcome to leave us some Facebook reviews also. But as for that, I know you guys have other things you're working on. You guys want to talk about any of the stuff you're working on? I know Ervin and Ryan, you guys just recently went out and did some nice photography. So I don't know if you guys wanted to talk about that at all.
Yeah, if you we're gonna be posting some cool pictures we went in the city yesterday. Get some cool shots, and we'll be posting those on all the social media, mainly for me, Instagram. If you want to check it out, go to instagram.com/ervin.lucas and check those out. Be able to look out for those. Go take some cool time lapses and cool shots of the city. It was definitely fun yesterday.
Exciting stuff. Yeah. What about you, Jeff? Anything you got working on?
Not currently. Maybe when I return to base for a little while. But I can plug my SoundCloud.
Yeah.
You can find me at soundcloud.com/thejbones. I have some beats that I made in the past up there, and intro and outro music for our episodes are beats that I made myself.
Nice. All right. Kyle, anything you wanted to talk about?
There we go. Nothing at the moment. Stay tuned though. Working on putting together a couple podcasts, going to reinvigorate the wrestling podcast world with another podcast since the other one slowed down, and possibly dabbling into sports as well. So stay tuned. I'll give you guys an update.
Very cool. Awesome. Cool. As for going back to us for just a brief moment before we close out, as a heads up, there is not going to be an Afro Explains this week, just as a heads up. We don't want to force any topics if we don't have anything big in the news. So just as an FYI and a PSA to our listeners, what to look out for.
FYI LOL.
FYI LOL PSA. BTW. But yeah, I think that's the end of the episode. So thanks for listening, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.